Week 11 of the Iowa high school basketball season is already here. We've got playoffs starting this week, believe it or not. Feels like we just started the season not too long ago doing our first preseason show. And Class 1A and 2A, they've got their districts starting up. This week, they had the preliminary rounds. We posted a score for that. So Class 1A, the districts are complete. You can find those the brackets. Sorry, you can find those on Brown's website. You can find them on the association's website as well. So yeah, we're gonna have that stuff and more coming at you this week. Playoff basketball. Just a quick rundown here of what we're going to be expecting with rankings. Class 1A and 2A, this is really it for rankings. We're not going to be really updating this because playoffs are going to be happening, and there's not really much to update. So these are the Class 1A, 2A rankings. This is pretty much going to be it until after the state finals. So 4A and 3A, there's still another set of rankings because they still have one more week of the regular season. So next week, there's probably not going to be any 1A, 2A rankings. It's just going to be 4A and 3A, their postseason rankings going into it. So that's kind of what to expect on the ranking side of things. We're still going to be having a show for our Dunks and Dogs. More on that in just a moment. And yeah, we're going to be having full postseason coverage. We're going to be posting as many scores as we can. Hopefully some cool bracket graphics that you guys will enjoy and that sort of thing. So yeah, no Nelly today. He was up in Cedar Falls today covering that awesome UNI Iowa State wrestling meet. That was really fun to watch. The atmosphere in Cedar Falls for that was amazing. You should go check out the IA Sports and IA Wrestle pages if you want to see some videos, some clips from that. It was really fun. I'm not, obviously I'm more into basketball a bit more than wrestling, but that was really fun meet to watch. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure you would too. So, yeah, in any case, let's get right into it. No picks from Nelly because he was busy at that meet. So we're just going to go over my picks. We don't have game of the week, but we will post a graphic for it on the socials tomorrow along with the rankings graphic. And so, yeah, we're just going to kind of go through the rankings here, go over my picks, and that's really going to be it for the day. So we'll get right into it. We're going to start off with our Class 4A rankings. There we go. Another switch at the top. Would you believe it? The Tigers going back and forth. And this week, Cedar Falls has the number 1 spot. Valley drops down to number 2. Linn-Mar and Waukee Northwest switch at 3 and 4. Ames, they go up a spot. Dubuque Senior down a spot. 8 through 10 with Prairie Waukee Dowling. They all stay the same. Johnson gets a pretty big boost in the rankings. They go up to number 11. Iowa City West, Council Bluffs, Abe Lincoln, they drop down a spot for each of them. And then Muscatine and Ankeny switch at the 15 and 16 there at the bottom. So this is pretty close to be in the final 4A poll. Like I said, we'll have that next week going into the postseason. So, yeah, I think a lot of these rankings have kind of stayed the same. A lot of these teams like Kennedy, Linn-Mar, Cedar Falls, Valley, like those teams have all more or less been in the top 5 for most of the season, at least the top 10. And we're kind of seeing the same thing, and assuming that nothing crazy happens this week, it's probably going to be more of the same for 4A. But it's been a really interesting year for 4A, especially there at the beginning. Everybody, it's always interesting with the CIML teams in any case because they just always are beating each other when it comes to football, baseball, basketball, any sort of it. That's always really fun to watch. Mississippi Athletic Conference has been very interesting as well. Linn-Mar kind of just emerging out of the woodwork. I think beginning of the season, I can go back and look. Lindmar preseason was number 2. So pretty good. I didn't realize they were so highly ranked preseason, but they have definitely proved it. They kind of went up and down for a little bit there, but they've kind of solidified themselves in that top 3 spot, and I think they deserve it. They've got some really impressive wins. I think they have one of the hardest schedules in Class 4A, and they just keep winning, man. They're going to be a tough team to beat when it comes to that sub-state time next week. So there's your 4A rankings. We'll move on to Class 3A rankings. Not a ton of movement there. That's kind of been the trend for Class 3A. Those 1 through 6, 1 through 5 spots, they've really all stayed the same. A lot of those teams have been more or less in the same spot all season. There was 1 week, a couple weeks ago, where there was quite a bit of movement. But like you see there, I mean, 1 through 6, they all stay. Clear Creek Amana goes up to number 7. Pella, and I did not replace the names. I'm just now noticing some of the teams in there need to have their names changed, and I'll fix that before it goes up tomorrow. But that is Cedar Rapids Xavier at number 9, not the Clippers, obviously. And at number 11 needs to be MOC Floyd Valley. Number 12 is Waller Catholic. Those just need to be switched. Like I said, I'll fix that before it goes up tomorrow. But, yeah, those are your 3A rankings. Like I said, not a whole lot going on. Some teams shuffling a few spots up and down, but nothing too crazy. We'll go over to Class 2A. Much the same there. Top 3 stay the same. Unity Christian gets a decent boost up there to verify. Yeah, up 4 spots compared to last week. Grandview Christian stays at number 5. Grundy Center, Trainer, Cascade all go down a spot. 9 through 11, Spirit Lake, Appleton, Parkersburg, and West Burlington, they all keep their same ranks as last week. Northeast up to number 12, Cherokee, Washington down a spot. Albia goes up 2, and they swap places with Regina at number 16. So, like I said, Class 2A, this is going to be your rankings all the way through. Districts, sub-state, state tournament, this is it. So, I mean, if a team that's unranked makes the state tournament, I mean, there's going to be no change in it, and that's just the way it is. That's how we did it for football, at least, and I think it's a decent way to do it. So we're going to keep that going. These are your playoff polls. This is what it's going to look like all the way through until the season is over. So if you're unranked, you make a state tournament. That's going to be a nice story for us. So if you aren't on these rankings, I'm sorry. You're not going to be on it. I hope that's bulletin board material. That would be a fun story to cover. But in any case, we will move on to Class 1A. And this one was the least movement of any class's rankings. We had a little bit of movement there with Gladbrook Rhinebeck. They go up a couple spots to number 3, ACGC. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to double check and verify. Yeah, they lost to Madrid, the number 1 team of the class. Madrid, mostly wire to wire, has been the number 1 team in 1A. And Woodbine, they dropped down a spot as well to number 5. So everything else stays the same. 1 through 2 with Madrid Marquette, they stay. And then 6 through 16 is all the same exact rankings from last week. And like I mentioned before, this is going to be the rankings. Same thing as 2A. This is going to be all the way through to the end of the season. So, these are going to be the rankings headed into the playoffs. 1A has been kind of hard to tell. Looking at these rankings, that it's been hard because a lot of these teams don't play each other. All these ranked teams are kind of scattered about the state in every single corner and way. But as we go into the playoffs here, there's no avoiding it. You're going to have to play good teams to keep moving forward. So I'm really excited to see how that shakes out as well as Class 2A. But that's going to do it for our rankings. Like I mentioned, we're still going to have a ranking show next week for Class 3A and 4A, and you'll be able to find that right here on Sunday, the same as usual. But we're going to move on to the picks. Like I mentioned before, if you didn't hear, Nelly's not here, so we're just going to go over my picks for this week. I also want to mention this. I did not mention this. Before we get into the rankings, playoff picks count as double. And I actually just remembered I wanted to go over last week's picks. So you got a sneak peek of the 4A picks, but we're going to talk about 3A, or last week's picks really quick. Both of us went undefeated on Dunks. However, Ames, they had their game postponed, and that's getting played tomorrow. I'm recording this on Sunday. So it's going to be on Monday. We'll find out what happens there. Excuse me. His dog, he hit Granby Christian as a dog, and all the rest lost. Jeez, excuse me. And my 2 dog picks I got right. My 1A ACGC lost to Madrid, and Ankeny, I don't recall. Oh, they lost to Dowling. So that was my 2 picks that I lost. However, I did hit Waverly Shell Rock and Albia for my dogs. So I did get the lead there. Even if Ames does win the game tomorrow, that will still be a lead for me by 1 point. This is a lot closer than it was. If you were watching Locks and Dogs during the football season, this is significantly closer. Cade kind of pulled away there towards the end of the season. It's a bit disappointing for anybody who's rooting for me. I don't know. Basketball might be my way. I might be able to get it. But like I mentioned, playoff picks, they're going to count as double. So as you can see there, Dunks count for 1 point and dogs count for 2 points. So playoff picks, that means Dunks count for 2 points and dogs count for 4 points. So this is a really big time. It could really, things could go so dramatically either way. 1 week Nelly could look like he's got a big lead, and then, he misses 1 dunk, and I hit a few dog picks, and I can be right back in it. I think it's going to be more the opposite, though. I think I'm going to be able to pull this one out and get a win on the season, but we will find out here in a few short weeks. So we'll get started on my 4A picks. We're going to start off my dunk for this week. I have got Hawkeyes. They play this game that I'm talking about on the 18th. They're taking on Des Moines North. Hawkeyes, I think this is a sleeper team when it comes to sub-state postseason. I know it's sleeper because they are a pretty decently ranked team. We just went over the rankings, and I don't exactly remember all of them. Number 9 in the 4A rankings this week. However, I just really like this team. They're keeping it close with some of the best in the state, and they're beating some of the best in the state. Evan Jacobson, one of the best players in the state. I believe, I might be wrong, I think he is a Mr. IAbasketball watch list player. He's got 18.7 per game. He is leading the Warriors in that category. He's also leading in rebounds with 9.0. And just historically, Hawkeyes kind of taken the cake in this series. They've got the series lead at 10-3. And honestly, pretty similar numbers when it comes to their record. Des Moines North is 14-4. They've had a pretty good season. Not a team we've really talked about. They've won their last 5, but I think this is just a different animal that they've got with Hawkeyes. I really like this team. I've covered them a couple times this year, and I really like the team, and I think they're going to be dangerous in the postseason, which is coming very soon. My dog pick, I've got Dowling Catholic. 4A, the competition is tough this week. You want to talk about a back-ended schedule, a backloaded schedule. This is definitely it for a lot of these CIML teams. Playing tough competition right before the postseason, and this is one of them. Dowling Catholic, they are traveling to Hawkeyes Northwest. They just met not too long ago, February 7th, and Dowling lost in a 10-point game, 62-52. I'm going to look for the Maroons to flip the script this time around. Hawkeyes Northwest, team we've talked about all season, they've just been an absolute dominant force. It doesn't matter who they're playing. This has been a really tough team to beat. Their only losses this season, Valley, who's been number 1 or number 2 all season long. Hawkeyes, very earlier this season, a team that has been in the top 5 before and has been top 10 pretty much this entire way. And then to Valley again a few weeks back, a couple weeks into January, who, like I just mentioned, has been either the 1 or 2 team in Class 4A all season. So not a team that loses a lot. Super talented across the board. Bodie Goodman is the name that jumps out for most people. He's averaging 17 points per game. Colin Rice is leading it in rebounds with 6.4, and Peyton McCollum leads it with 5.4. So it's going to be a really tough game for Dowling Catholic. Waukee Northwest, like I just mentioned, really tough team to beat, but I think it's going to be a fun game nonetheless. Anytime we see those CIML teams clash, it tends to be a good game. We'll move on to Class 3A. I'll get this pulled up first so you can take a look first. And we've got Ballard as my dunk, DCG as my dog. So I'm going to try and get this pulled up on Bound as quickly as I can for you guys so I can get going and talking about this. First game, my dunk, Ballard. Team that I haven't really talked about a lot since earlier this season. I talked about them quite a bit. I went to one of their games when they beat ADM. Both those games they beat ADM, and it was a very close game. It looks like both of them were one possession. The one that I went to very early this season, it came down to the last shot for ADM, and they missed, and it looks like it was more or less the same in a 58-55 game. And they're taking on Winterset. They've won their last 2 over Boone and Carlisle, so not exactly a cakewalk of a game. However, I think Jude Gibson and the Bombers, I think they're the real deal when it comes to Class 3A. They lost North Polk a while back, but, I mean, we all have our rough nights, So, yeah, I'm going to take Ballard. I'm going to take him to win that one. And my dog for this week, DCG. Oh, I already had the game pulled up, so this is kind of an awkward one because I'm picking DCG to upset Ballard. Just praising Ballard a moment ago. I'm really sorry, Ballard fans. I'm sure you have mixed feelings, but it's kind of an interesting one. I went to watch DCG play against Gilbert in the Gilbert Classic, or the Gilbert Showcase. Sorry, I was looking at the MLK Classic just a moment ago, and they beat Gilbert 66-57 in that one, and it was a very good game to watch. I enjoyed it. Both of those teams super competitive, and I'm going to bank on that competitiveness here. Kyle Kaysen, a guy that we have not talked about, I don't think at all on the show. 21 points per game. He's also leading the team in rebounds with 7.7. This guy's a baller, and I'm sure if I look back, I'd be able to point him out pretty quick. He seems to be playing really good basketball, and he's definitely going to have to do that with the Mustangs if they want to beat a team like Ballard. So that's what I'm going to bank on for Class 3A. Now, we have the interesting picks with Class 2A and 1A. We'll start with 2A. It's kind of hard to go through these picks for, how do I say this? It's hard for 2A because a lot of the teams who aren't playing aren't ranked, because most of the ranked teams are a 1 or 2 seed and they have a bye in the first round. So a lot of these teams are not ranked. I would say probably all of them. So you kind of have to, I think the way we did this was just we said that the teams who are home are the favored team. So there might be some matchups where the home team has a worse record than the away team, but I think we're just going to do it as the away team is going to be the dog. That's just the way that we're going to have to do it for this round at least. We'll be able to do it better once we have ranked teams involved in the second round, especially for Class 2A. Class 1A, we have ranked teams playing in the upcoming round early on here. And it is hard as well because we don't know what's going to happen after this round, right? So, a team like Western Christian, they have a first-round bye. Well, you don't know who they're going to play. You don't know until they play the first round of games here. I believe it's Monday. So you can't really pick them unless you think that they could beat both of those teams. It's just kind of tough. You got to make those tough calls, but that's just kind of the thought process that I had when I was picking out these teams. So I just wanted to kind of let you pick my brain there a little bit before these picks and start with my dunk. I've got Mediopolis. They're taking on the Cardinal Comets in the first round. Meepo, they're 12-10 on the season. They finished the year kind of tough with a 2-game skid against Winfield Mount Union and Tipton, both pretty solid teams. However, not too long ago, they beat Holy Trinity Catholic, who's been a top 10 team in Class 1A all season long. So I think the Bulldogs have what it takes. They have what it takes to take a really good team like Holy Trinity Catholic and beat them. And it wasn't just a one-possession game. Like, this wasn't a fact that they got hot at the right time and ended up to seal the game. It was a 72-64 win. And the Crusaders have been super good this year. So I'm going to bank on that for Meepo to pull out a win in Class 2A in that opening round. And my dog, we've got West Branch. And this is one of those ones that I was talking about where kind of say that it's here we go. You say that it's Tipton's the hosting school. They have a better record too. It's 11-10. So I'm going to take West Branch. They had just played on the 11th, not too long ago, just 5 days ago as of the day we're recording this, and they beat them 58-56. And I think this is a West Branch team. I just like this West Branch team. Nellie's been out there covering them for a few games this season. I really like the way the team plays. Jaden Harris, I think he's a great player. He averages 19.4 a game. That's 10 more points per game than the next best guy in the points per game category. And I think a guy like Jaden Harris, who's on a team like West Branch here early on in the round, that's a huge difference maker. And they kept it pretty close with Solon, who's now ranked this week. And so I think a team like West Branch can go out and beat Tipton on the road. So that's the one I'm going to bank on. And we will finish up these rankings. We're going to finish up the picks for this week with Class 1A. We got ACGC and Woodbury Central as my dunk and dog. I'm going to try and pull this up as quick as I can. We're at 22 minutes, not bad. Assuming that I don't go on some long tangent, we can keep it under 30 minutes. It's been my goal recently. But you guys still watch, so I guess if you're here for the long haul all the way to the end, then I really appreciate it. But I also don't want to take up too much of your time if you're just wanting to see what we got going on here. Where are you? There we go. Woodbury Central. All right, now I'm ready to go. So let's talk about my dunk, ACGC. They're taking on Exira EHK. They won their preliminary round against West Harrison, 71-47. ACGC, they took a big jump in the rankings the week prior. They beat Coon Rapids Bayard. I believe they beat Woodbine. They beat the number 3. Yeah, that's right. They played number 3 Woodbine, beat them, and then the following game they lost to ACGC. They jumped up to number 3. They lost to Madrid. They dropped down a spot. However, I still think the Chargers are one of the best teams in the class, and I'm going to bank on them to get a first-round win. My dog, another one here, Woodbury Central, Kingsley Pearson. They have the same record. They're both 8-12. Kingsley Pearson is the home team, but I'm going to take Woodbury Central to get an upset there on the road. Jaden Lloyd, sophomore, is the guy who's been scoring the best. He has doubled the next best points per game with Luke Fraisner. Sorry, Luke, I'm sure I probably said your last name wrong. Like I said, if I say your name wrong, please shoot us a DM so that we say it right. if you didn't watch the show last week, I got Cale Reister's name wrong, and North Fayette Valley, they DM'd us, and they helped me out so I can say his name right, because I'll tell you what, they're having a heck of a season, and so is Cale. So I want to be sure when I talk about him in the future that I say it right, so please don't be afraid to let us know if we're saying it wrong, because I'd be upset if somebody was saying my name wrong. In any case, Jaden Lloyd, 16.2 points per game, and he's also leading in assists with 3.5, just a sophomore. And I think he's going to do a pretty decent job here with the Wildcats and helping them to get a first-round win over Kingsley Pearson. So that's going to do it. That's going to do it for us on Dunks and Dogs for Week 11, as well as our rankings. Like I said, we're going to have graphics for all this stuff tomorrow. It's going to be a loaded day on the social media. I hope you're ready to see IAbasketball on your feed. We're going to have rankings graphics tomorrow morning. We'll have Dunks and Dogs graphics, hopefully. Sometimes I forget to put it out there, but I'm going to do my best. Game of the Week graphic. And the association is going to be releasing the sub-states for 3A and 4A. So we're going to have the graphic that we posted for 1A and 2A, except for those sub-state matches. So get ready for all that. We have a ton of content. The next couple weeks for IAbasketball are going to be huge. We're going to have tons of postseason coverage. We're going to have videos, of course, of games that me and Nelly and other photographers and videographers are covering for us. We're going to be having more shows like this. We're going to have hopefully some bracket shows. Obviously, we're going to have some state basketball coverage. We're going to be hopefully hitting 10,000 followers on Instagram soon. We're coming in close. We're about 500 or 600 away. So if you're not following us on Instagram, please do so. We're growing really fast. It's really exciting. And I would love for you guys to be a part of what we're building here. So anyway, really appreciate you guys coming in. Hopefully you guys do enjoy these videos. Me and Nelly, we've been working hard on these shows this year. And we enjoy it. So hopefully you guys enjoy it just as much as we do. But yeah, thank you for coming in this week, and I'll see you next week.